Hello Space Rangers, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris. I just got done watching Pixar's Lightyear, and with Lightyear we're getting the movie that Andy first saw that made him want to go out and buy the Buzz Lightyear toy we've grown to love in Toy Story, bringing to life the origin story of Buzz Lightyear himself. And that's all pretty much say without giving any spoilers to you guys. This is a spoiler-free review. Now, I remember a couple years back when Disney announced they would be making a solo Buzz Lightyear movie titled Lightyear, and my head exploded. I was so down for the idea, not only because I love Toy Story, but I grew up watching that animated Buzz Lightyear show, and I have so many fond memories of that, so I thought it was a brilliant idea to go ahead and actually do that in Pixar animated form, even if it wouldn't be an exact translation from that animated series we were watching. So it was quickly one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and now having walked out of it, I adore this little movie. I think there's going to be a lot to love all around for Lightyear. On the Toy Story side of things, this movie has like so many Easter eggs to that franchise. Stuff that we would see Buzz Lightyear say in the Toy Story series that is now put kind of into context with his solo movie. I was surprised how many times throughout the movie I'd be like, oh my god, I remember that. But also Lightyear in a way is kind of an homage to like these 70s, 80s sci-fi movies. There's a lot in here where they poke fun at stuff like Star Trek and especially Star Wars. I cannot tell you how many shots in this movie feel like recreated scenes from the Star Wars franchise. But even with those homages and them trying to recreate stuff like that, Lightyear very much feels like its own sci-fi world. That's where I want to give huge props to director Angus MacLane. I watched this like 30-minute documentary on Disney Plus where they talk about the making of this movie, and it was kind of interesting to find out that the director of the film is actually someone who's been animating Buzz Lightyear all the way to the very first Toy Story movie. In fact, they say in the documentary every time other animators would be animating Buzz Lightyear, they would go to this animator and be like, hey, what would Buzz Lightyear do in this situation? What would his facial expression look like? What would his hand movements be? Because he was like the go-to guy for animating Buzz, and now it's kind of cool that all these years later, an animator was handed the keys to direct the Buzz Lightyear solo movie. And I think it's because they got someone who was literally there for Buzz since he was created that you see just so much attention to detail in this film. Like, really take a second when you're watching Lightyear and look at the world they've built. Like, look at the gadgets, all the little nicks and crannies in his suit, the way the tech works. I was watching this movie before that documentary going like, man, they really paid a lot of attention to the detail in here. And that only makes the film that much more immersive, but it's also just an achievement because I think nowadays it's hard to be creative with your sci-fi technology. A lot of these sci-fi movies feel the same or like they have the same tech to show off. Now, when it comes to Buzz Lightyear himself, Chris Evans knocks it out of the park, okay? I know there was people a little upset that they didn't bring back Tim Allen, and don't get me wrong, I think Tim Allen is great as the voice of Buzz Lightyear, but I was totally fine and understanding with them getting someone different, as this would be a different characterization of the character of Buzz. And just really like 3 minutes into the movie, hearing Chris Evans' version of Buzz Lightyear, you'll honestly not even realize or be thinking about, this isn't Tim Allen's voice, this isn't the Buzz Lightyear that's familiar to me. Another character that stood out to me through this movie that I was honestly shocked by was Socks the cat. I was seeing so much love and praise for Socks the cat out of people who have already seen this movie, and every time I saw that praise and hype and love for the character, I just remember thinking, you know, in the trailers, that was like the only annoying part to me. It just seemed like an obvious comedic relief that I wasn't gonna love that much in the movie, but now I've seen the film and yo, Team Socks all the way. This little freaking cat steals the show, is so funny. I went from not giving a crap about this cat before the movie to now as I'm watching it going, Socks the cat better not die, man. I will lose my lid. Another thing here with Lightyear that I think some people might be taken aback by is the way the story plays out. Because if you've seen the trailers, you know Buzz Lightyear kind of has a little bit of a time jump. He ends up becoming a man out of time, not recognizing the world he's in. And the trailers give it off one way, and then in the movie, it plays out completely different. And it's kind of much better. It becomes such a tragic part of the Buzz Lightyear story, and it's honestly so heartbreaking to see. It's some of those classic Pixarisms that just pull at your heartstring and I think always work well with this company. Because there are a little bit of darker tones in here, and I'm not going to say so dark that you can't take your kids to, but it's just the stuff I love to see in a Pixar movie. The dilemma that Buzz Lightyear goes through from the beginning of the movie to the end, where he's going through this character growth and he's finding himself, all of that I found so profound and I was completely invested in, because the movie does take some twists and turns. A lot of us think we know the Buzz Lightyear lore based off what we've seen on Toy Story and the little hints that they've given us. I'm just going to tell you right now, whatever you have in mind from that Star Command animated series or even what Toy Story has given us in hints, I think it's better if you just erase all that out of your mind, don't hold it too tightly, and get ready for some new lore. Because I could see some people being kind of upset or disappointed with the twists and turns this movie takes and the way they established this version of Buzz and how his character needed to grow. I really ended up liking the way the story went. So I think it would have been so easy to just tell us a random space mission where there's already a crew of 100 different space rangers. We just follow Buzz's exact team and go from there. And it's not really that at all. Also, it sucks that I have to bring this up in a movie, but I know there's people who care and want to know about it. Yes, you probably have been seeing the headlines that there's a same-sex kiss in Lightyear. I'm a person who hopes that we get to a point one day where we don't need to make headlines out of that and it just becomes a normal thing that we don't have to be like, oh no, this is a kid's movie, I'm not taking my children. The film handles it so tastefully and natural that I didn't see any kid in my public screening of Lightyear go, Mom, what was that? Like, that's what some people honestly think is gonna happen, and the parents are gonna be like, oh, how do I explain this to my child? I don't know. No, the scene happened, it fit into the movie, it didn't feel forced. But with that now said, I do want to get in some things that I'm kind of mixed to like negative on. For one, as the movie was going on, I started to notice things that weren't really particular or known for in the Pixar world. And what I mean by this is that this film very much felt like it was being built like a franchise. Now, I know Pixar does sequels in the past, but I never really got the feeling while watching one of their Pixar movies that they were setting things up for another film. And with Lightyear, I picked it up so many times throughout this movie that I'm like, yeah, you can tell that's something they're going to upgrade to on the next movie, or you can tell that's something that'll be a big thing in the next film. And without any spoilers, this movie has three post-credit scenes. One that happens early on in the credits and then two at the very end. It's gonna feel like I'm lying to you, but there are two at the very end. And this is why I'm saying I'm kind of mixed on this, because I'm not against more Lightyear movies, okay? I actually want a lot more of these films because this world is awesome. It was so amazing those last like 20 minutes of this movie and seeing Buzz Lightyear sweat, get bruises, start bleeding. Things that we never saw with the toy version of Buzz, because he's a toy. But man, are the visuals in this film just so breathtaking. Like, it is one of the most beautiful Pixar movies ever made. I highly recommend watching it at IMAX or like the biggest screen you can. But it was because of them trying to set up this whole franchise or a sequel that the finale kind of felt a little rushed. Like, it just kind of ended. It felt like there could have been a little bit more of a satisfying climax, or there was more to the story to be told, but it's not until you get to the post-credit that you're like, oh, okay, so they're trying to do a sequel here and they'll explain more then. I also think the sequel will kind of be the thing people wanted out of this movie, because while some people might have hoped that this would have been like a Space Ranger mission with Buzz in the suit and other comrades of the same abilities working together, that's something it looks more like they're going to do for the next movie, while this one was more setting up why Buzz is Buzz. But again, that was like my only gripe with the movie. Usually Pixar is very good at their standalone one story. When this was the first time, I was like, oh, they're clearly setting up something more. So for Lightyear, I'm going to give action 3.5 stars. There isn't really that much action until the ending of the movie where you get to that big battle with Zurg. The movie's very story and character driven, but nonetheless, when those action scenes do happen, they look amazing. Comedy in the movie, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. A lot of that is because of Socks. I just found that cat absolutely funny, hilarious, likable, lovable. Pixar did it again, and I'm going to buy me some Socks merch. Drama in the movie, I'm going to give it 4 stars. Pixar knows how to tell a story, but this specific one, character driven with Buzz Lightyear, and the dilemmas and growth he goes through in this movie, I just really connected to. I didn't see at all where they were going to take this story, and then once it started to unravel, I was like, man, this is really interesting. Horror in the movie, I'm gonna give no stars to. It's a Pixar movie, family friendly. There's dark themes in here, but nothing really visually horrifying. And suspense in the movie, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. Towards the end of the movie, you do feel a lot more suspense when the mission has come to its like big climax. But again, the finale is just kind of so short, you don't really get to have that much suspense in those moments. Casual fans, I'm gonna give it an A+. Cinephiles, I'm gonna give it an A-. And critically, I'm going to give it a B+. For Lightyear, I think this is for sure one you add to your collection at home.
That's a keeper. Yes.
I really am going to be curious to hear your guys' reaction to Lightyear, because some of those story points, I can see fans getting kind of, not upset, but going a little like, oh, this isn't what I expected. I don't think this is the movie I wanted to see. It's very much about Buzz Lightyear and his growth, and I think a lot of the stuff you'll want to see, they're going to try to do in a sequel. Don't be forgetting to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films, but as always, I'm Chris. Take care.